Welcome to the Future Series. I'm your host, Anthony Dan, and for those of you that are new to the podcast, we talk with real founders about building a business for the future. So whether you're scaling your business currently or starting your first side hustle, we're going to give you the nuggets of information to help you succeed in the future of work. So today we've got on the podcast Arthur van Ceulen. I hope I said that right, from Gamevestor. How's it going?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Glad to have you on the podcast. You've got a very unique business and business model that I've not come across before. So maybe for the listeners, would you be able to just give us a quick intro to yourself, Gamevestors, and what it is that you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the co-founder of Gamevestor. It's the first and only crowd investing platform exclusively for video games. So it kind of opens a new class of assets, the video games, to any European citizen. We're based in France, and we, with my co-founder, come from the gaming industry. We're not from the finance world, and we kind of bridge two worlds together with Gamevestor.
Amazing. That sounds really, really interesting. So people can actually earn money from playing games and putting money into games.
Yeah, creators, like game developers, need money to make their games. And it's a bit like a movie making. You need a lot of money, some time to make it. And when it releases, you'll make a lot of money in a short amount of time. So you really need that amount of money to start. And then you can share, the creators, the developers can share their revenue with the investors. That's the model that game publishers have been using for like 30 years, something like that. And it works. They make a lot of money out of it. The gaming industry is the biggest entertainment industry, like bigger than movies and music put together. So there's a lot of money to be made there, definitely.
Fantastic. Well, we'll definitely delve a bit more into that a bit later, but to kick off now, it'd be great to look back at where you got into the gaming industry and sort of gaming in general. Were you a big gamer when you were younger?
Yes, I've always been passionate about video games, so since I was 5 maybe, and then I became quite the geek, I believe. I learned coding in a high school by myself, and then naturally I went into an engineering degree. Then on, more than 10 years of making games at Ubisoft, Sega, bigger and smaller companies. Then let's make our own studio. With my co-founder Ivan, we said like we want to make our own games, like be free somehow, become the entrepreneur, the creator. It's our turn. But we weren't able to raise any funds. So why is that? The COVID period was really kind of the perfect timing to raise funds, because video games like grew 50% due to lockdowns everywhere in the world. People were gaming more and more, and it was like time with the family was gaming each at home. So investors, they invested a lot in gaming at that time. You could just come with a free slides PowerPoint and walk off 20 minutes later with 2 million euros. That would have been totally okay. But the thing is, a video game takes time to make. So then there is no video game for like 2-3 years. And when it released, all the video games that had been funded during COVID were coming when there were no lockdown anymore. Yeah. So the original investors, they didn't recoup their investment correctly. They weren't happy about their returns. So they stopped investing at that time, a couple years ago. And that was the bad timing that we were into. And we were like, but it's still the biggest entertainment industry, and there's still so much money to make. It's a shame that creators like us couldn't do a great project that we had, because we had like VC funds, we had publishers, even business angels, and different people that didn't know each other, that were from even China, US, say the same thing like, whoa, your project is great, Arthur. Okay, cool. But if you were coming 2 years ago, you would have walked off with the money already. Yeah, but and then we couldn't make money even for people because of those kind of finance market dynamics.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like definitely COVID had that effect of a huge boom in certain industries and then a big drop afterwards and then a sort of market correction. What was it?
Yes.
It came at the end when you were at Ubisoft, didn't it? So you saw pre-COVID from a game developing point of view and then a year or so afterwards. What was it like around that sort of time, like in Ubisoft and there's Amplitude as well, wasn't it, you were working at?
Yes, Amplitude was part of the Sega group at that moment. So I always wished to make my own business, but at that time in those studios, I felt like leadership was missing. Some things that I could do, maybe I could do better for the teams, for the business, for the games that we were making. But I didn't want to like grow, progress too fast, and finally don't be enough and make errors like I was seeing my leaders do.
How does it work within? Because if you've got an idea for a new game or something like that, are there basically like hubs within these bigger companies that will help fund and push your idea? Or is there quite a lot of entrepreneurship like you were doing, going out and raising your own funds to build your own games, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So the big gaming companies can found their own games, so they're kind of self-sufficient, both in resources and money. I mean human resources, because it's a human resources business. It's a talent business. Making games. It depends on the guys that make the games. If they are talentful, you'll get a huge product. But you need not only make, but those who sell the games, who market the games also. Visibility is a huge issue. But there are a lot of smaller and medium structures. Those companies, they always need to raise money to make the games, generally, and only when they have a hit game on their end can they self-found the next games and be on a better trajectory. So back to the my story at Ubisoft and Sega. That's when I felt like I needed some extra skills, and I've entered an executive MBA.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was cool, and that's where I also learned that it wasn't right what was happening in the video games industry, and that it was a kind of a crisis of funding as well as an opportunity. Because the smallest the founding you have, the smallest the games you'd have in 2 to 3 years time, then it's the perfect time to invest because the market will be quite free. Not a lot of games to sell, so easier to sell your any game with the just the same resources, so much more profitable. And that's when we came with that idea. Making Gamevestor was like out of the frustration of something's not right. We could bring value, or we want to do entrepreneurship anyway. We can solve a pain, a problem that we have experienced ourselves, and that was really the start of it. And I think that it's the pain point is something really important for any founder. If you want to make a business, you should really know what's the pain you're solving, and you shouldn't be looking at something like my product is gonna make people more comfortable or better. Those terms don't work. You need to be a painkiller. And even for us, we are a really great painkiller for creators, for studios who need money. But for investors, different story. That's where we have a challenge. It's like, okay, we have a really pain killing product, a great idea for to make, but why would the investors invest? What pain do we solve for them? And that was a much harder thing to solve for us. So we'll talk more about it later, because I think that the good part of the story now is how we raised funds for Gamevestor.
Yeah, what was that process like? Was it, I assume, a bit easier than raising for your studio?
Yes, so we had been trying to raise for the studio for like 8 months, and we just put together some slides and tried it off again with some of the investors we had met previously. And in 2 months' time, we had kind of locked our lead investor. Much easier because, well, in the gaming industry, they were funding a lot of technologies, platforms, anything that is not content, that is not games themselves at that time. So it was a much easier experience, and also something that was still kind of frustrating for values, because I mean the real money, the real value that comes from the gaming industry only comes from the games. That's what the gamers, that's what the customers pay for. That's the core of the experience. So the game makers should be the ones that are the most respected, that are the most, that get the most out of the deals, but it's completely the other way around. So it really felt like we were in the good direction at that time. And another like small tips for founders, like take any signal you can have for, and you can make work for your own energy and motivation. Like there's always shitstorms to take care of, always. So anytime you have something there and there that can boost your motivation, take it and just try to nurture it.
What is your why? What's your motivation for getting up every morning?
Well, I think you felt it. My motivation is kind of moving things for the industry, for the creators. That's why we're making it. If we can and I can make some money in the process, that would be great for myself and my family, of course. But yeah, the you need to be tenacious, or you'll drop at some point. So you need to have high beliefs in what you do, definitely, and not just some internal goal. I mean, yeah, I believe that you need a goal for the greater good somehow, or what you believe is somehow the greater good, and not only for yourself.
Yeah, doing something for yourself is won't take you through those hard periods and push you through those barriers you need to push through to make a success. No, I completely agree. With Gamevestors at the moment, then, what sort of companies or what sort of creators are you investing in, and have you got any really exciting games that you're working with at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. So we found that we've launched only 6 months ago, in fact. So the hard part in building the platform before launching was getting financial authorizations. So as I said, we are game experts, veterans from the industry, absolutely no finance background. But we went to create a financial company that is regulated by the French financial authorities, and it was quite the adventure to get the authorization. So in Europe and even more in France, it's much harder to get around regulations and laws than it is in the US or elsewhere, I believe. The good thing that we always said is that if we manage to do it in France, we'll be able to do it anywhere in the world. It's so constrained, so hard, so yeah,
You'll be able to
difficult.
use everywhere else.
Yeah, we'll be able to export our model anywhere. But it's taken like a year and a half, I believe, to get the authorization. Um, and it was sometimes illogical, like completely strange. For instance, you have in the regulation something that says, okay, you should either have treasury that would cover at any point in time 3 months if everything stops because there is like, I don't know, a suspicion of financing terrorism or such things that we have to worry about all the time. You need to have treasury available to run for 3 months straight without any business going. So it's kind of a big constraint. But you can also have an insurance that covers it, right? We're a startup, we need our treasury, we'll just register that insurance and be good with it. Nope. The regulator decided that we want both for you, both the treasury and the insurance. And they don't even have the legal rights to force us to have both. But do you want your policeman? Do you want to sue your policeman or to like challenge him about what he has right or not, knowing that he will be the policeman following you for the coming 10 years of your business and the only one responsible for it? Because what regulation means, it's not, they don't need to sue you, to give you fines and so on. They can just do so like that if they feel like something is wrong. And the regulator, the financial authority, is always looking at you. It's not like it's an authority that waits for some suspicion or I don't know and they investigate something. No, they always look for your mistakes. And if they find one, they just make sanctions. And only at that point you can go to court to say the sanction isn't right. So it's really a relationship you want to take care of. And so we just went for, yes, we will have both the treasury and the insurance. Please give us the authorization. We're a startup. We cannot wait for years before launching the business. So yeah, launch the business as soon as you can. So you can imagine that you in our where we were at, it was like we're a startup, we don't know finance. We were told by the lawyers that we needed the authorization before raising any investments from any citizen. That's why it's complicated. It's because we can accept any citizen money. That's really the crowd investing scheme in which we are. So we wanted to do the things right. It's a mistake. If you are funding a company, you're better off apologizing for an error you've made, but launching fast. And try to make, I wish I had tried to raise funds for the first video game, even without the authorization, and maybe just cancel it and say, nothing happened. Just to test it, to test the business, to grow experience and get a better visibility on the whole thing early on the process. Do a beta, do it privately, not with citizens, just to test off things, etc., etc. We really missed that, and we've used like 1.5 years of runway of money each month where we had salaries to pay, just waiting for the regulator. That was a big mistake, I believe. And now we wish we had more treasury, more time to build up and so on.
What was that like as a founder and from like a mindset point of view, having to go through that whole process, maybe knowing or not knowing whether you would get the license, you wouldn't get the license, could all go tits up, it might be okay. What was that like, sort of mentally going through all of that?
Stressful, but also it wasn't very dense. So you don't have power over it. You've answered the last email from the regulator, or you've sent the last files they needed, and you're just waiting. So we always had like some improvements to make on the website, on the platform, etc., on our marketing stuff, and we had studios to talk to that were waiting with us to be able to raise funds on our platform. So we were kind of doing damage control at the same time with those future clients. But it's mostly stressful. It's like we were counting on it, and anyway, it was that or nothing. So it was not something we could get a no with. So it's more the other way around. We built and worked everything so that we couldn't get a wrong answer, a no. So we took the best lawyer in France that had already had 20 authorization for other platforms with 100% success rate. So she kept the 100% success rate with us. What was really challenging is not like the files and all the stuff that they need, but is meeting their financial constraints, such as they wanted our money to be there at the time of authorization, but our lead investor wanted to close the funding round when the authorization was there. So both the investor and the regulator wanted to be first in the process. So what we ended with is so we had signed everything, but we had to split the funding round in 3 different sub-rounds somehow. So 3 different capital raises operations. The first was only me and my co-founder. We put money on the table only to raise a specific line, accounting line that needed increasing by the regulator, but that we couldn't do as part of a common capital raise with other investors without giving them half the company somehow. So we needed to do that first split. So that was one check for the regulator. Then we had the round with the people like the business angels and the medium investors that were okay to put the money on the table before the authorization, but that were signing at the same time as the lead investors and the VC that were putting money on the third round when the authorization is there. And yeah, it was kind of nightmare to get all this. It's already hard, and any founder will tell you that it's hard to raise money and that the legal stuff is energy draining, to say the least. But doing free.
I've never heard of a really, really easy, simple round that just goes through nice and quickly, especially at the beginning. There's always lots of hoops to jump through.
I don't believe it's a reality for anybody, a smooth round. Or maybe if you're just raising from friends or are one of the 1,000 companies that have exploded somehow,
Indeed. And what was that moment like then? That once you've got everything signed, you've got your third round signed, you've got everything together, and now you're ready to launch and go. What was that moment like?
It was incredible. When we got the final, what's funny is that we got the final authorization on the 24th of December. That's quite the Christmas gift. So we closed the funding round between Christmas and New Year's Eve, and we launched the platform in February because we needed all the marketing and stuff to progressively enabled for. So yeah, it was really great. It was like we did it, and it's great also because I don't think many founders can experience that, as it's when making a startup you're always with a lot of KPIs, like I have 10, 100, 1,000 clients, but it's always like I'm like 10% below my target or 10% above or whatever, but it's rarely a yes or no situation where you can really fully congratulate yourselves about it's completely a success, and there is no numbers to evaluate that. So no, it was definitely great, and I even have the thing framed. So that's the letter from the regulator that my founder framed and sent me, and he wrote, "We did it" in French on it. Uh, so yeah, it was great.
So good. Success. And how are things going at the moment then? What have these last 4 months been like? And what sort of traction have you got?
So, like many startups, we started full steam as we could and tried everything, and it didn't work out as our business plan wanted. So, like 99% of startups, and I feel like and it's a tips for the founders here too. We knew that our numbers were too optimistic and so on, that it was kind of, the moon target. But we took it too personally, I feel. So after the launch, we had not many investors, not many gamers, not much traffic on our website, even though we were using a lot of money for marketing. So we reacted correctly, and that's something that any founder, I believe, can do, is like you just see the numbers that the acquisition costs are too high than what you would expect it to be. So you just stop and you say, okay, we'll experiment and find the right way before doing more expenses. Something peculiar for us is that we can't have like just the first clients, nurture them, learn with them, and just build up from there. Because even the first game on the platform needs the full amount of money raised. You cannot say, oh, the first game it's just gonna raise the €1,000 over 10 people, small tickets, and just we're trying something. It wouldn't work out for the creator, who needs between 100,000 and €5 million. So you need, at the start, from day one, a lot of people coming to the website, and it's yeah. If looking back, if I feel like we should have found some other solution to make kind of a beta happen, even if it weren't really founding a creator, even if it were just like maybe even a fake project or whatever, just to test things out, that would have been much smarter. Anyway, so like all most startups, we went on a pivot. And we are still in the middle of that pivot currently. So our idea was, okay, the gamers today, it's very, very passionate audience. They are using like a lot of money on video games, the gamers. To compare with the movies industry, you have a lot more people that watch movies. So as a cultural product, it has much more influence. Though each person watching movie doesn't use a lot of money. On the video games industry, the gamers are less numerous, but they use much more money. And especially in crowdfunding, so classical crowdfunding, Kickstarter, and so on, it's donations. And people, gamers, sometimes donate €1,000, €10,000, €100,000. For example, on Star Citizen, it's incredible that some people just buy a ship for the game as a donation through crowdfunding Star Citizen. And we thought, okay, those people know that we propose them for the first time. You can invest and get back your money, and then be able maybe to reinvest it elsewhere, maybe even make benefits, make profits, and so on. We thought that it was going to be easy to convert them from donation to investment. I believe it was a wrong assumption. I still believe that it's possible, but not that it's easy to do so. And we couldn't know it beforehand. So or pivot, or strategic pivot, and that's what most founders should do when they hit a wall. And most startups do. It's usual when you're doing innovation that you're just taking turns until you found a really good track. So we went from the gamers as an audience to investors like people who maybe are not gamers or just know games from their children or their childhood or whatever, but are actively investing already. And so we went from kind of marketing to the masses to a more commercial sales pipeline type of stuff, acquisition, and we rebranded the whole Gamevestor brand, website, communication, message, etc. It's still the very same deal. That one we got right from the start because we come from the gaming industry, and it's just that publishing deal that worked for 30 years, and that is just offered to anybody in Europe now. So that one didn't budge, but we just switched the message and how we put things and who we speak to, proposing that offer. So it's going to be live during August, the new website, and with the new projects open for funding. So currently we have funded Void River, the first project on the platform, and we didn't open publicly any of our projects. So we're just waiting for that the new website to be ready and start off with the new pivot.
So there'll be some more projects available to invest in come August.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's very exciting. I mean, it sounds great. Like you said, a lot of great companies have tried to do one thing and pivoted, and that's how they've grown success. Like the YouTubes, the Instagrams, all of them started as something else, very different. So, yeah, really interesting to see everything and how it goes. But what's your plan then over the next sort of year, 5 years, 10 years? Where do you want Gamevestors to be?
So I want Gamevestor to be the main source of funding for the medium-sized creators, game makers, because that's really where the most profitable projects are. Like the big GTA, Call of Duty, and etc. stuff is making a lot of money, but it's not that much profitable if you look at the multiplier, because it costs so much money to make. So it's kind of very nice for them, because one operation, one game is making a lot of money, but relatively to the investment, it's not that good. The smallest projects are too risky because it's too hard for them to get visibility on their product, even if it's a great game. So those medium-sized projects, we want to be the main source of funding. That's the overarching goal. That would mean that we have a circle, kind of how do you say that? A cycle.
Economy sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a kind of a closed loop between investors and game makers, and that makes it better than having a lot of intermediaries or so on. It's direct relationship between investors that might be gamers themselves with the creators. So I feel like it's going to be best for everybody. The money is going to be more fairly shared, I believe, with such thing. To reach that goal, it means that we'll also go in US, in Asia, maybe even in South America and Africa and so on. We'll see. But our first goal after Europe would be the US, Canada, and North America for sure. And yeah, we really want to fund as much as possible, as many games as possible. That's really the goal. And to make that happen, we need a track record. That's kind of the challenge now. We have founded the first project. That first project is going to sell soon. During the summer, they will launch Void River, their early access. So it's not the full game with the full marketing, but it's still some early sales that will be converted into revenue sharing for the investors. That's already a good sign. And when Void River really refund all the investment, recoup the full investment for investors, make profits for them, that's the start of our track record. And when we have a strong track record, then we can really scale and go to the type of scale. So we need some time because it's not we could have like a lot of volume, but the games still take time to make and sell. And that track record, there's no such thing as making a baby in 1 month with 9 mothers, you know.
I've never heard that before, but what a great story, very
So
true.
the challenge right now is making small successes, growing the investor base progressively so that we can build the track record. In 6 months, have enough results to raise our seed round in 2027 so
Amazing.
that we can continue building that investor base, that track record that we need time to build. And also go to the US probably in 2027. That
Yeah.
would be great. We have a lot of US people that cannot come and invest, and it's a shame that we cannot accept them. And a lot of US studios also, so it's definitely on our list.
That sounds great. Obviously with AI's development over the last few years, how is that having an effect on the games that are being made or the games that are getting funded? Are you seeing it have a dramatic shift on what's happening?
Dramatic, no, because the gaming industry has been using AI for 30 years at least. So before ChatGPT and OpenAI, we had already AI in the production pipelines. For example, world building, procedural generation. It's all types of AIs. We all, of course, have been working on the NPCs, the non-playable characters, AIs for a lot of time, and it's just a new tool in the game maker belt, the large language models, and there is generative AI is useful and is making productions more efficient at the time than they were, at a higher pace than before, because there are a lot of companies in AI now making new products and so on. So definitely it has an impact, but I wouldn't say that much. The biggest thing happening right now is that the gamers and a minority of gamers are very vocal about it. Like, we don't want games that are made with the human touch, the art, and so on. But the reality is that 90% of gamers don't care at all.
Yeah.
They just care about their gaming experience. Is it fun or not? So if the game maker used AI or not, it's not. I believe that it's gonna just get into everyday's life, and in a few years, everybody will know that everything has a bit of AI in its making, and will be good with it. But like I said, gamers are a very committed audience. They're linked to the game makers, and they are very vocal and looking at how things are made. So it's kind of a problem, though. You have the biggest platform for selling is Steam on PC, and you have to disclose any usage of AI in your production pipeline. Know that we are in the middle of that period. Before, you could use AI, like games that I made 10 years ago. Steep is using a lot of AI in the world making with procedural generation. But now you have to disclose it, and now the gamers will shoot at you for using something that is like 15 years old. It doesn't make much sense. So it's definitely having a big impact on the industry, but not the one you'd think.
Yeah. No, it is interesting, obviously, the perceptions. Before we do close off, I've got to ask you as well, what's your favourite game that you either play at the moment or played growing up?
It's a hard question, like the one favorite game. I want to mention Clair Obscur Expedition 33. So it's a French game that has a lot of success. It's a great RPG game. I love RPG games from my childhood, and it's also kind of a symbol that you can make great games with a medium team, medium funding, and I believe that they have made a return on investment that is in the 1000x.
Really?
Yes, definitely. They made at least €1 billion of revenue with that game. It's really been a huge success. That's the hit game you can see in the gaming industry. But what's interesting and what I like is that more and more a mid-sized game, what we call double A game, in contrast to triple A like Call of Duty and such, are the hit games now. The new Call of Duty has never been a hit game for like maybe 8 years or something. There's a lot of material on YouTube about how Call of Duty franchise was kind of killed. At least the game making and the essence that made it, how it was just killed and is now just a commercial product that is well managed, I think. So yeah, the best game currently, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a great game and a symbol also for an industry that is shaping up to be something else.
I'll have to check it out then at some point after. Before we finish as well, if there's anyone listening that's really keen to know a bit more about Gamevestor or even become an investor when you launch your new platform in August, what's the best way to reach out or get in touch with you?
So you can simply contact me on LinkedIn and also directly on the website. We have a contact form. We also have a Discord server. So Discord is it's the Slack of gaming and game makers too. It's really huge in the gaming space. So we have a Discord server for Gamevestor on which we are pretty active, where we can have a video chat like that. We're always connected there, so it'd be a pleasure to talk about the industry, and we have a lot of industry professionals on that Discord where we share studies, we talk the news and so on.
Amazing.
And we send memes.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Arthur. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast and talk through everything about your career and Gamevestors and where you're going. Yeah, we really appreciate your time.
Thank you for inviting me. It was really great to be able to share all that, and yeah, keep it up. It's a great format you have here.
Thanks so much. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.